So far in 2021, 135 people in West Michigan have died in crashes. Michigan State Police say the number of collisions shows a dramatic increase compared to last year at this time. And MSP also says that this is a trend of dangerous and concerning driving that they don't know how to stop.
Oftentimes people use their cars sort of like a weapon to scare people or intimidate people. I'll come up close behind you, or I'll pull close to the side of you, or I'll flip you off, or I'll roll down my window.
Road rage cases are on the rise. Police say crashes are up too, and more drivers are being ticketed for speeding. The Michigan State Department of Transportation says already 964 people died from fatal crashes since January. That is already 20 more than the total in 2020, with still 2 months left until 2021.
I know there's several of us that have stopped people going well over 100 miles an hour. You could easily get one every 15 to 20 minutes.
The U.S. Department of Transportation says the first half of 2021 shows the largest 6-month increase ever recorded in traffic fatalities, with more than 20,000 people dying in crashes, nearly 20% higher than in 2020. Michigan State Police Trooper Lauren Postumus says road rage and reckless driving have dramatically increased in West Michigan over the past year. She believes the pandemic has played a role in this aggressive behavior. Work from home shut down offices, stopped construction, and greatly decreased the number of cars on the road. Postumus says people got used to that, and now people must readjust to more traffic, road work, and vehicles. Threat management expert and former San Diego police officer Steve Albrecht says the routine change is a large factor in road rage, but so is general temperament.
The other big part about road rage is territoriality, which is, I do own the whole road. You can't come into my lane. You can't come into my space.
Postumus says they get numerous road rage calls a day, but they rarely get to the scene to be able to ticket and evaluate.
A lot of the times they know that somebody's going to be calling 911, so usually a lot of times they're gone by the time we get there.
So without enforcement from police, how do we stop this behavior? MSP and Albrecht says we need to raise the stakes.
It's not self-insight that corrects the problem. The change only comes when the consequences are severe enough.
To him, that could look like thousands of dollars in fines, mandatory arrests, court-ordered therapy with points on your license. But not everyone agrees.
The issue isn't just giving people consequences. We know that actually that doesn't solve the problem. We need to help people build skills.
Psychologist Dr. Nicole Birkins says the problem is actually physical. A part of your brain isn't functioning correctly, and it needs to be addressed. MSP says at this point they don't see an end in sight if something doesn't change. And the second part of this story, why are people who typically would never act out in this kind of behavior acting aggressive on the road? Learn all of that and more in our newscast at 11. Live in Grand Rapids, Morgan Trout, 13 on your side. Police say Americans are stressed and angry on the roads, and it's causing some problems. But the experts I talked to said it's much more complicated than just being angry that somebody cut you off. When under stress, we don't always do things we're proud of.
A lot of adults out there right now who are really, really stressed, whether they realize it or not, and they're not coping real well.
The number of people seeking help for their mental health has skyrocketed. Mental Health America found a 93% increase in anxiety screening from 2019 to 2020. Psychologist Dr. Nicole Birkins says the pandemic has caused chronic stress, maxing out a lot of people's thresholds for managing uncertainty or just life in general.
But when we're already really close to our threshold for everything we can manage emotionally, a little incident like that can just set us off.
They're frenzied, they're under a time pressure, and now there's a car in their way, and there wasn't a car in the way for 12 months. And so all of a sudden, this change is really stressful for people.
Psychology professor at University of Michigan, Stephanie Preston, adds that changing routine is hard, and both she and Birkin say this is a neurological issue. There are two parts of your brain at play here, your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. The amygdala is really the center of our emotions, while the prefrontal cortex is responsible for managing and regulating those feelings.
The prefrontal cortex has shut down, the emotions have taken over, and we're saying and doing things that in a more calm, rational state we never would have said or done.
Psychologists say that the more chronic stress we have, the more our decision-making skills shut down. But like law enforcement says, they can't see an end in sight if something doesn't change.
This is going to depend on how quickly we can eradicate the illness.
So while Berkins agrees that the pandemic needs to end, the long-term mental health effects will linger in society unless addressed with coping mechanisms. In the short term, she says the best thing someone can do to support themselves is to try to slow down their reactions.
Helping people get through this and come out better on the other side, and that's going to require a lot more than just consequences.
Taking a deep breath can greatly decrease our stress, calm our bodies, and send a signal to the brain that we are not in a life or death crisis that requires a huge reaction.
Chasing a car that upset you may seem right in the moment, but the lifelong impact of potentially causing a fatal crash will never be worth it. For more about road rage and how to stop it, visit our website 13onyourside.com. In Grand Rapids, Morgan Shroud, 13 on Your Side.